POC Network here with another unboxing, this time coming from the company TaoTronics, and we have a new mesh Wi-Fi routing system right here. And this is the AC3000 TriBand whole home mesh Wi-Fi router. So TriBand, which means 3 networks, you have a 2.4 gigahertz, 5 gigahertz, and a 5.8 gigahertz network, and all operating off of not 1 or 2, but 3 units that are going to be spread out through your house or your home office or wherever else you're going to install this. And what this does is it extends your network out. So consider everything as like bubbles. Your main router always casts some kind of a bubble, a sphere of coverage around the area that it's sitting. And it can only reach so far, let's say about 1,000 to 2,500 square feet. It all depends really on the house, the construction of the house, and how many walls and rooms there are in between everything. But this gives you an extensive amount of coverage per unit, just like any other router would. But then with these, it's like adding access points throughout your home. And with each access point, you get an additional 1,000 to 2,500 square feet of coverage. So just consider it, if you had a 3-floor house and you spread these out, one on the bottom in the basement, let's say, or the first floor, and then one on the opposite side of the second floor, and then on the third floor on the opposite side of that, you'll have a big bubble, and hopefully all the spheres coming together will cover all the square footage of your home. And all of that put together gives you up to 6,000 square feet worth of coverage thanks to mesh. And the whole point of mesh, and it's really the difference between using mesh and using the old school method of using access points, is that all of this is going to be just a fluid roaming experience between all the floors and rooms of your home without any SSID conflicts. And what SSID is that's the name of your network. So if you named your network, Top Gun, then, Top Gun is going to be the same name no matter where you are in your house. It's just one network. So as you move around the house, you just bounce around between all the satellites based on your position, keeping you on the network at all times. And with all 3 of those networks, the 2.4, the 5 gigahertz, and the 5.8 gigahertz, you have a combined speed or throughput of up to 3,000 megabits per second. The whole setup gives you the ability to connect over 200 devices to your network. So this is important if you are adopting any of the new smart home ecosystems. Those devices really add up quickly because it isn't just a few computers, a laptop, and some tablets and smartphones or anymore. It's light switches and outlets and cameras and AC systems and fans and devices in your kitchen and your garage and outdoor lighting or anything else that connects to your Wi-Fi to your smart home ecosystem. Every single one of those devices adds up, and it really takes a toll on some of the older routers. So you need something like this that can handle that many devices without choking. And of course, it's app controlled via the TT Mesh app that's available for both Android and iOS. And that controls everything, all the aspects of this router from your phone. That way you don't have to pull it up in your browser like you would with any of the older routers. You can just pull it up in the app and control it from there. And then, of course, it gives you all the typical features you'd find in a mesh routing system or any typical routing system, including parental controls. You have USB connectivity on here for external hard drives, so you can have your own cloud storage set up across the network. And then, of course, you have gigabit Ethernet ports on here for wired devices, all of which for just $349.99, which might seem a little expensive, but mesh is expensive by default, no matter which brand you go with. Mesh is expensive. But if you go with some of the other brands like Netgear and Linksys, some of the bigger names, you'll notice that price goes up even more, especially for a 3-piece system like this. So sometimes you'll see price tags anywhere between like $400 to $700, $800 and up if you go with the Pro Series. So for $349, it's a pretty good price point for this, and we have a discount code in the description to help make this a lot easier, and you might be surprised how much you can get this for. But what we're going to do today is we're going to open it up. We're going to take a look at it. We're going to see what it comes with, what it looks like, and then you're going to go to POCnetwork.net, where we're going to have a full review about this later on, where you can really get a deep understanding of what we like or don't like about this unit. Hopefully more like than dislike, but all of that will be available at POCnetwork.net once we've had time to really get our hands on this and determine what its pros and cons are. So the first thing you're introduced to when you open the box is this small little, box-ish little folder kind of thing here with some documentation. You have just a little thank you card that just takes you to TaoTronics website, so they can talk to you. You can submit any kind of feedback if you'd like. And then you have your whole home mesh Wi-Fi system quick start guide. And this is available in multiple different languages. You have English, Dutch, looks like maybe Chinese. And it really seems pretty straightforward in terms of walking you through the process of setting up this router. Now we're going to move on to some of these accessories here. We have a power connection here. And this is just for connecting to one of the units on the back. So we're going to have 2 more of these. So you have one for your main router plus the 2 satellite units. Then you have a smaller box here with an Ethernet cable in here. So this is for connecting the router to your modem. So that way you're taking your internet connection to the router before breaking it out to everything else. And then you're brought to the units themselves. Now each unit it looks familiar to some of the Netgear series, the Orbi series in terms of its shape. You'll have it looks like you're likely going to have an LED status up here somewhere, but this is also going to be a vent for air coming out. And then on the back side, you have 3 LAN Ethernet ports here. Each one is a gigabit connection for your wired devices. And then you have your WAN connection. This is the connection that you're bringing from your modem to the router in the back here, and that's bringing internet to the router. And then you have your 12-volt DC connection here, which is for one of these power connectors, as well as a manual on-off mechanical switch here for turning it on and off. And then, of course, that mentioned USB connection, which we do like the fact that it's USB 3.0. Some of these routers are still coming out with USB 2.0 connections on the back for some reason, and it doesn't make really any sense whatsoever with modern day technology, because you want to be able to access the speed of some of these hard drives that are out there on the market. So 3.0 is incredibly important to have, and thankfully TaoTronics included that. The feet on the bottom of the unit have small little rubber pads, so that way when they're sitting down it's not going to scratch the surface or move around or anything like that, or at least not slide around. And really, we got to point out the fact that that looks nice. It looks like a piece of decor that you're going to have sitting around in your home. So it's going to look good if you are a fan of any kind of modern art. It's going to blend right in just like you would sitting any of those pieces of decor on a tabletop somewhere or any kind of a cabinet where it's going to just look nice and blend in with all of that. So it looks good. Those little feet really help out, and it makes it look more than just your typical router. It just looks more decorish. So we're going to take a look at another one of these units here. It is exactly the same, it looks like, yep. So everything is exactly the same on the back. So you have 3 additional gigabit Ethernet ports on the back of this. And then going for the final unit, it looks exactly the same as well. So you have 3 gigabit connections on the back, your WAN connection, and then your DC connection and on and off. So technically, it seems like the way these are designed is that any one of these can be your main router, where your internet is coming in from your modem to the router, and then the other 2 will function as your satellite units. And since each one has 3 1 gigabit Ethernet ports on the back, you have 3, 6, 9 gigabit, and that's just single gigabit, but 9 gigabit Ethernet ports on the back for all of your devices, which should be more than enough. You can break it out to other hubs and have even more wires running all over the place if you'd like, but the whole point really is wireless. This is going to connect to all of those devices in your home. Again, computers, laptops, tablets, smartphones, and all of your smart home connections throughout your home. All of it handled with 3 units here. That should cover pretty much every average home or smaller or larger that's out there outside of larger mansions, which you can probably buy more satellites for. But that's all that's in the box. You have your 3 power connections, you have your Ethernet cable, you have your instructions, and you have 3 units here. And they look nice. I mean, they look really nice. Those feet really add to it. And there's not really much to say about weight. I mean, they do have a little bit of weight to them. That's not a big deal. It's not like you're going to carry these around. They're not mobile or anything like that. But they are definitely, they got some weight to them, which is a good thing in the sense of having a mesh system like this, because you got to consider what's on the inside of these. Because what's going to really weigh these down? You're going to have hardware, and you're going to want strong hardware in here, and of course heat sinks, because heat sinks are definitely going to weigh these down, and you're going to want heat sinks, and these do have a good amount of coverage in here heat sink wise to help keep these cool, so that way you don't have any interruption within your network. So there you have it, the TaoTronics TriBand AC3000 whole home mesh Wi-Fi network. So for that full review on this, once we really get a chance to play around with this to understand its strengths, go to POCnetwork.net, where we'll have that story published coming up shortly. So again, POCnetwork.net. And if you liked what you've seen here, don't forget to subscribe below. There's that button down there to follow us, and we're going to have many more videos to come. So definitely subscribe and follow us, and use the comment section below as well. In case you have one of these already set up at home, or you have something similar, or just want to talk amongst each other or with us about some of their features, definitely use the comment section below. And as always, we thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next time. If you want to stay on top of all the latest and greatest, and or at least the gadgets we cover, remember to subscribe right here. Subscription button. Click it. You're going to want to. There's lots of videos, interviews, previews, all sorts of stuff. Button. Click it.